What's up, nerds? Welcome to another edition of Them Nerds. Tony here to talk to you about one of Marvel's most important teams and one we may very well be seeing in the MCU very soon, the Young Avengers. Before we begin, I want to remind you we are giving away this Scarlet Witch Funko Pop. It will be given away at the end of WandaVision's first season. All you have to do to be entered to win is like, subscribe, or interact with our content in any way on social media at WeThemNerds on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I also want to remind everybody there are going to be spoilers from WandaVision up through episode 5. So if you haven't seen WandaVision up through episode 5, turn away now. The Young Avengers story began in 2005's Young Avengers #1, when Nathaniel Richards, a time traveler, arrives in the present day after fleeing from Kang the Conqueror in the future. Kang also happens to be Nathaniel's future self. I love comics. Richards went to Avengers Mansion but found it abandoned in the wake of Scarlet Witch's mental breakdown and subsequent apocalyptic events. He then moved on to Stark Industries, where he encountered an AI of Vision. This AI enacted something called the Avengers Failsafe program when integrated into Nathaniel's armor. It provided a list of young heroes who were related to the Avengers. The AI indicated these individuals should form a team and take up the mantle of Young Avengers to fight the impending arrival of Kang the Conqueror. The first members of the team were Richards, who was dubbed Iron Kid, Eli Bradley, who was called Lieutenant America, Billy Kaplan, referred to as Thor Jr., and Teddy Altman, called Teen Hulk. Now, anyone who already knows about the Young Avengers knows these are not the names that would stick, and we will talk about their current or most recent names in just a few minutes. As the team began fighting crime, they drew the attention of Jessica Jones, who began investigating them. Captain America and Iron Man also began looking into these youngsters after originally dismissing Nathaniel Richards' claims about Kang the Conqueror. While they were being tailed by the Elder Avengers, they added Cassie Lang, daughter of Scott Lang, aka Ant-Man, and Kate Bishop. Eventually, they made contact, and the Elder team locked the younger team away because the Avengers felt the kids could not handle such a threat as Kang. Kate Bishop had memorized access codes and helped the young team escape and engage in battle with Kang. Unfortunately, Kang was only there to show evidence of a timeline wrought with tragedy that was to come if Nathaniel Richards did not return to his own time and become Kang. Kang removed Nathaniel's armor, but the armor, armed with the Vision AI, continued to fight Kang and stabbed him before he was able to leave the timeline. Nathaniel realized Kang was right and left to return to his own time and fulfill his destiny. Nathaniel would later return as Iron Lad during the battle between all the super teams in Marvel over the fate of Wanda Maximoff and her reincarnated son, Billy Kaplan, aka Wiccan. The team played a pivotal role in helping Wanda regain memories and make amends for the events of House of M as they sheltered Wanda and Billy from the efforts of many other heroes to contain and control them. This may be the comic-related catalyst that brings the Young Avengers fully into the MCU. The connections between members of the Young Avengers and the Avengers heroes we already know in the MCU makes it a pretty easy leap to assuming we'll get a Young Avengers show or movie in the near future. Let's run down the common team members and their connections. First, we have Iron Lad. Nathaniel Richards dresses like Iron Man and is connected to Kang. Kang will be making his debut in Ant-Man 3 Quantumania. Could this be the connection? Wiccan. Billy Kaplan is the most obvious member of the Young Avengers to appear in the MCU. He's already one half of the WandaVision twins and has a lot of similarities in power and mental illness that Wanda does. Speed. Tommy Shepard, the other WandaVision twin, is also technically in the MCU already, and the appearance of his uncle Pietro on WandaVision Episode 5 may be a harbinger of his super speed powers manifesting at some point. Hulkling. Teddy Altman isn't actually related to Hulk. He just bears a striking resemblance, being large, muscular, green, and angry. He's actually the child of the original Captain Marvel and a Skrull princess. Given the fact we've been exposed to Skrulls now, and Captain Marvel's legacy has been touched on a bit, it seems like he may pop up. Hulkling is also romantically involved with Wiccan. A young, gay super couple would probably be a desirable addition to the MCU. In the comics, he's now known by the very comic bookish title Emperor Dorek VIII. Not sure if that's going to make it into the MCU. Kate Bishop. The young apprentice of Clint Barton will be debuting on the Disney Plus series Hawkeye very soon. She is an expert marksman and strategist and was formerly the leader of the Young Avengers. Patriot. Elijah Bradley is the grandson of Isaiah Bradley, known in the comics as the Black Captain America. He was part of a super soldier program not dissimilar to the Tuskegee experiment, where 300 black soldiers were forcibly given an experimental serum. Bradley's infusion turned him into a powerful hero with similar abilities to Steve Rogers. Elijah, his grandson, was born with no powers, but received a blood transfusion from his grandfather and was exposed to the super soldier serum, gaining powers. He's usually noted as being the leader of the Young Avengers. I think with the end of Steve Rogers' stint in the MCU, it would be a perfect time to bring this story into canon and introduce Patriot. Cassie Lang. Known as Stature, Stinger, and other names during her tenure, Cassie is the daughter of Ant-Man, Scott Lang. When thinking about comic characters who can fill these roles in the MCU, Cassie is a no-brainer. She was just recast in the MCU and will almost certainly play a big role in Ant-Man 3: Quantumania. Miss America. Miss America is from an alternate universe. Her real name is America Chavez, and she has some pretty impressive powers. In addition to flight, super speed, and super strength, she has the ability to open something called a star portal, which allows her to travel the multiverse. The character has already been confirmed to appear in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, so we know we're getting her character in some way, shape, or form, and we know she will have something to do with the multiverse. I personally see this character being huge in the MCU. She has big powers, she's a strong female character, and she's a Latina, which the MCU currently doesn't feature. Jonas. Jonas was an iteration of the Vision AI. It's a long, convoluted process, but generally speaking, the original Vision AI that was discovered by Nathaniel Richards and became part of the Iron Lad armor ended up kind of losing the ideas that Vision had, the knowledge that Vision had, and didn't have the maturity or experience of the original Vision. The new Vision went on a quest around the world to find himself, eventually calling himself Jonas. Is it that far a stretch to have an offshoot of Vision in the MCU, given how popular WandaVision is? Marvel Boy. Novar, aka Marvel Boy, is a Kree super soldier from an alternate reality who has DNA altered with cockroach DNA. Totally serious on that one. Anyway, he became lost in the multiverse and turned up on Earth 616, the main universe in Marvel, aka the one in which both you and me and the MCU exist. He did a whole bunch of crappy stuff, as the Kree are known to do, but eventually became a curmudgeonly protector of Earth and lived in orbit, watching the goings-on down below. He was in a relationship with Kate Bishop and has been very active with the Young Avengers in recent years. This character, to me, is one of the least likely to make the jump from the comics, and in my opinion, I don't see this happening in the MCU, but that remains to be seen. We do have Kree in the MCU, so who knows? Last person to talk about here is Prodigy. Prodigy is the codename of David Allen, a mutant whose ability is to absorb the knowledge, training, and education of those around him. As such, he is a super genius who has the magical knowledge of Doctor Strange, the fighting prowess of Wolverine, and the tactical ability of Cyclops. During a period of inactivity of the Young Avengers, David entered into a relationship with Tommy Shepard, aka Speed. When Speed was abducted, David approached the Young Avengers for help and briefly joined the team to rescue Tommy. Of all the characters who have been with the Young Avengers, I see Prodigy as the very least likely to appear in the MCU. Aside from the fact that he is a mutant, and we don't have those in the MCU as of yet, his abilities may be a little tough to integrate into the existing universe. Being able to absorb and use the powers of everybody makes him a little bit OP, in my opinion. Well, that's about it for the Young Avengers. Knowing the MCU has bid farewell to Iron Man, Captain America, and Black Widow, And considering the departure of the T'Challa version of Black Panther as a result of Chadwick Boseman's untimely death, there seems to be a bit of a vacuum in the MCU that needs filling. We will certainly be meeting new characters like Shang-Chi and Blade in the next couple years, but adding a team of young, diverse, dynamic heroes who echo familiar characters of the past and have connections with characters in the present would be a fantastic approach for Marvel Studios going forward. Thanks for watching Them Nerds today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share our content. Don't forget to follow us on social media at We Them Nerds on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And we will see you next time. Be good. Be good to each other. Later, nerds.